Now, one last ingredient, and that is called the decision-making process. Why is the decision-making process part of a crisis leadership component? Well, you're always making decisions, but when you're in a crisis, you're making more decisions than you'll ever make. Why? Because you have to be flexible. You have to adjust. And what's amazing is, and this is going to be part of another segment we'll have, and that is you're going to have to interview people for new jobs, and you're going to have to let people go. So hiring and firing is increased during a crisis situation. If you want to understand the decision-making process, there's 4 phases to what happens. And if you take the initial letter of each of the phases, they give you the GEDI, and I'm going to say something that's silly, but it's going to help you remember. You have to be a get-I warrior, not a Jedi warrior, a get-I warrior in a crisis. And a get-I warrior is you're always asking yourself, am I gathering information? Am I evaluating? Am I deciding? Am I implementing? The set of skills you need for being a get-I warrior is the same in a crisis as in a non-crisis. It's just that in a crisis, you're doing it more often. Now let's go back to what we originally introduced. We said that you have to understand your person or your dog, and you have to understand your cat or your position when you're doing your leadership in a crisis situation. Now let's apply it to the decision-making process. When you are gathering information, if you go to your dog, people will share more information with you. Just have your palm up and go, how's it going? What information do we need to gather so far? Bob your head, have your palm up. People will literally share more information. But when it's time to get into evaluating and deciding, you go to your cat. Your cat is the one who's willing to make tough decisions, even when you don't have enough information. And that's big. What is your cat? Palm down, head still. Make your voice pattern this way. What is the word decision mean? It comes from Latin. It means to cut. So after you have all your options, that's the gathering, all your brainstorm is done. You now have to start cutting them away and come up with the best of what you know. Then when you go to implement it, if it is not a crisis, you want to be as consistent as possible. If it is a crisis, you have to adjust and rotate back through the GEDI over and over, sometimes by the hour, sometimes by the day, whereas in a non-crisis situation, it's usually much longer term. It's by the quarter that you make the adjustment. So be mobile and be flexible in your decision-making process.